We welcome in Kevyn Adams, GM of the Sabres, who is, as has been stated many times, Kevyn, happy to be here and be around in person with your fellow GMs, including a GM's meeting yesterday. How are you feeling at this moment based on everything that's being talked about right now between your team and the Ottawa Senators?
Oh, there's a big picture. No, I'm good. I think it's continuation of weeks of work we've all been doing leading up to today and tomorrow. Lots going on, lots of conversations. And I was saying this, I can't remember if I said this in my media yesterday or if it was talking to someone else, but where we have 3 picks in the draft, well, actually 4, because if you go all the way to 41, you have so many debates internally on players and who may be there and what is our list, and so you're working tirelessly to make sure that you're nailing that. But then you're also simultaneously having tons of conversations with teams about options and moving them. So there's just a lot of balls in the air and a lot of moving parts at once. So that's why it's fun. It's an intense time. And I've stated all along, we need to be in all these conversations, not just in the the goaltending aspect, but just to know what's out there and what our options are. We've looked at a lot of different things. We've quite frankly passed on some because we didn't think it was right for not maybe the short and long term as I blend them together.
Yeah.
There's things that you could do today that might make us incrementally better in the short term, but you have to be really careful of that because we're trying to balance it all. So in terms of what being maybe talked about right now, it's hard for me to get into detail on what we've been working on, but it's accurate that we were far down the road in certain situations. Players have rights in their contract, and then ultimately at the end of the day, we do what's best for our organization, and you move forward. And if there's certain situations where players don't want to be in Buffalo, then that's okay, and we move on. But we want players that want to be here.
So unfortunately, some of the details always come out. There's insiders, and we just had Darren Dreger on, and he's one that kind of follows the breadcrumbs and tries to see where it's going. But it showed, I think, the fan base, the organization, and the hockey world that you're sitting with 9, 16, and 28. But you're looking at moving up, maybe moving back. There's a lot of options there. So when you are going to talk to GMs now and they have that information, does that make things more difficult or they're more willing to engage?
Well, I don't think it changes it, honestly, Marty, because I've said all along that we want to be in every conversation both ways. We love the idea of having 2 top 10 picks. We love the idea of, is there the right fit for us to move up higher in the draft than, really high into the draft. So, having those conversations. We've also talked about if we're in a spot where we have a group of players that we're really comfortable with moving back. You know what I mean? So I don't think it necessarily changes anything other than if, and again, I'm too busy. I don't know what's being reported out there exactly, but if people are picking up that, we're in those, had a potential deal in place, then maybe teams know that, okay, they are serious about trying to, do certain things. So, which we are, obviously anyway. So I guess I don't know if it really changes anything, though.
As far as tonight is concerned and the meetings that have happened here in the most recent days, has anything changed much in those internal discussions among your scouting department as far as, finalizing that list? Did you feel like there were a lot of still intense conversations to be had, or was your group collectively very confident and almost set coming into this week?
Very close to set, I would say, because a lot of that debate has gone on over the last number of weeks and months. Yesterday, middle of the day, we really had a long internal debate on just, our order. And what happens inevitably with all of these drafts is you start to get into your order and you have players rated the same, essentially. And so how do you decide a player? Is it there or 2 there when you have the same rating? And, now you're looking at, that's when you go back to, is it a position? Is it size? Is it some special attribute they have that you feel puts them on this? So that's the real debate. There was a little bit of that yesterday that, we tweaked in order just a hair. But for the most part, no major changes.
Kevyn, you've added so much to your hockey department in the last year. I'm curious to know when you're talking about rankings of players being so close, how are you getting to that number now that might be a little different than when you started? Because obviously you have people from, different viewpoints adding to what that player ranking is. I'm fascinated by all this. So.
Yeah, that's a great question, Duffer. And, it is an exciting, as for me to sit back and listen to the debates and just really pay attention. I'm taking all that information in. And what essentially is happening is you're going off of a year of viewings, and you're talking to the entire scouting group is going to have an opinion. But then Jerry Fortin may say, this particular scout, was in this region, had the most viewings of this player. Give me your, what do you feel? And then you have the numbers side of it to say from, Sam's department to say, this is where the data either backs up what the scout's saying, contradicts what the scout's saying, and you blend them together. So for me, it's just taking all that information and making sure that it fits. And then also what I really listen to, and I've probably said this before, what I really listen to is passion. Because I've found that when someone is pounding the table, there is just a passion. I believe in this player. That gets my attention because now I say, okay, they've been following him all year. There's something, so that's what I really look for, and that happens. And then there's the other way happens too, where, I like the player, but I don't know. You know what I mean? So you kind of, for me, I pay attention to that.
Who's the loudest or most passionate department? Let's say there's the amateur scouts, the pro scouts, the coaches, the data. Like, who is the more passionate department, or do they all compete in that level?
Well, and what I really like about our group is they're not trying to prove they are right. They're trying to get it right, if that makes any sense. So what I take of your question is I don't sit there and say, the data department's the loudest. I got to listen to them. I think they have strong viewpoints on things, but so do the scouts, and so does everybody. But it's not because I really want to have my amateur scouting department be correct. It's just the how it works. So I like that about our group. There's a lot of internal debate. I really wanted to put together a staff that trusts each other enough to challenge each other. And I also made it clear to our staff that we need to debate. We need to really go through all these things. But when we walk out the door, even if, you had this one ahead of this one, this is our list. And then when we make the player, then we call the name, it's our player. This is a Buffalo Sabre. So, and we all hands in on that and go that way. So that's fun, though. That's a fun part of the job.
We have talked, as you can imagine, ad nauseum over the goaltending position, but not just with the Sabres, league-wide, because it just seems like there's so many teams looking to tweak, which always means upgrade, obviously, but it also casts a very wide net. Based on what's been reported earlier today and what you addressed, are you still very comfortable in the other options that are out there to still complement what you have in Anderson and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen?
Yeah, absolutely. And I go back to how we've gone about this offseason is we went through a full priority of, call it order of operations. Okay, if here's all of the goalies that we've targeted and, talked about, from 1 to whatever the number is. Okay, now there's different ways. Some of them are there's just no chance. Some of them are, okay, maybe they'd be a UFA, but it's going to be not where we're comfortable in term or whatever that is. So now that you keep going down the list. And so that's how it works for us. But what we do feel good about is we attacked our priority list the way we thought made sense for us. When something, there's so many things that you work on that don't happen. In this particular case, you move on to the next one. And that's kind of how we've looked at it.
So you have the draft this weekend, but you have free agency next week. One of the questions yesterday was about Victor Olofsson. I was actually surprised to know that Claude Lemieux was his agent.
Yeah.
Which I'm like,
you just remember him scoring some goals on you?
No, he never scored, but I just watched Unrivaled on ESPN, and he took a beating from McCarthy there, Darren McCarthy. So it was, I'm like, I wonder if you bring that up in the contract talks. I'm going to bring some muscle.
Only if they don't go well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but where are we at with Victor and, potential arbitration leading down the road?
Yeah, I do think the great part of the arbitration process is, you kind of, both sides do their work to know what that number ends up. And it's not perfect, but you have a pretty good idea of the range. And sorry, phone's ringing.
Breaking news here on Sabres Live.
So when it comes to Victor, there was another conversation this morning, positive. We're I'd say we feel like we're in a good spot there. We're going back and forth right now, and hopefully wrap that up soon.
Do you ever have specific ringtones for specific agents?
Well, the owner. But he's Terry. I'll call you in a second. So that's not for agents, though. Definitely
Not for agents?
My kids
Okay.
and wife and Terry and Kim.
Yeah.
That's the ring.
I love it.
I have some this or that's because I know we only have a
Real
couple
quick.
of minutes here. So, are you making more calls now at this draft or receiving more calls, this or that?
You mean just from other years or just
Yeah,
right
compared
now?
to last year, compared to 2 years ago?
I'd say, in a strange way, both. Making a lot of calls just to make sure, especially what we talked about, we're in every conversation. But I think with having 3 first-round picks, taking a lot of calls too.
Okay. Is it more intriguing to you picking first overall or having 3 first-round picks?
Ooh. I don't know who came up with that one. That's a really interesting question.
I came up with it 5 minutes ago.
I would say that all your hard work in the morning to get ready. Wow, that's I don't know if I need more time to think about that. I mean, I don't want to have the first overall pick in the future because we don't want to be in that position. But when you are in that position, last year in that draft, we were pretty excited about the name we were about to call.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, what were you more nervous of? This is your first live draft, being on the floor, or 1993 when you got selected in the NHL entry draft?
That's I'd say I was probably more nervous back then. Your heart's racing. I was a late first-round pick. You're seeing it all unfold. Although we were so young and just taking it all in. I'm not nervous right now. I'm excited. I'm excited for our organization. I'm excited for the opportunity we have tonight and tomorrow and into next week to keep moving this thing forward. So not nervous, prepared, and excited is the best way to say it.
Okay.
You had a little birdie tell you Devin Levi would be at Dev
Oh,
Camp
yeah,
next
I
week?
was going to say, I was going to ask you off, but you came in right as we were going. So anybody that we should be happy and expected or excited to see next week at
Yeah, I
development
mean,
camp?
we've invited everybody. We're having a couple potential issues with immigration on a couple of our prospects, so we won't know for a couple more days on a couple of the guys. But no, Devin, and he'll be there, and we're really looking forward to that. And to me, I've said this before to you guys, it's less about the on ice. It's really more just about connecting and me being able to sit with Devin or whoever the prospect is and just catch up and talk about their families and let them meet all the trainers. And I'm excited for that week and just to get the guys around our organization and see and feel it.
Have them sit in the office with you for an hour on free agency
There
day.
you go.
That'll give them some good insight into the business.
They'll be
Kevin,
like,
hey, this is really exciting for us to be on location again this week. It's nice to be back, but it's only made possible and heightened by your presence and the cooperation of others. So thank you for doing this on an incredibly busy day.
No, I appreciate saying that. You guys do a lot of great things for us in this organization, and I know that our fans love listening to you, and so no, I'm happy to help you guys and actually run into a meeting with an agent right now, but I will call our owner back on the way. So
right.
just so
Is that-
everybody knows.
Terry, it's coming.
Terry, give me 2 seconds.
Is that the
I'll call you
Olofsson or the Ryan Johnson one?
now. It's neither.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better.
So,
More to
yeah.
speculate about. Thank
All
you,
right.
Kevyn Adams.
Take
We're
care.
back after this on Sabres Live. Stay with us.